Okay, and this panel is going to be moderated by Adesuwa Onyenokwe of TW Magazine, but she's currently running a few minutes late, so I'm going to start, and once she gets here, she's going to take over from me. So my name is Jola, and good luck to everybody. All right, thank you so much for making the time out to be here. We are really excited at the Lagos Leather Fair to have you. So this is going to be a quick conversation followed by some question and answers. And so my first question goes to you, Aisha. I want to ask why, because I think with the creative industry in general, because we've only started seeing a massive surge in what is going on in music and fashion and art, there's sort of the idea that it's kind of frivolous, like what's the big deal? So in terms of IP, why is it important? Why does it matter for creatives to have their processes and their designs secure? Why does IP matter? Why is this a discussion at all?
For starters, I can speak for the leather industry.
Thank you.
Right? When I started making bags, there weren't so many of us. Right? And at that point, you want to put a brand out. It's important that we have patents to protect our work, because you're putting so much work into designing your stuff. Mm-hmm. You're growing a brand. You don't want someone to just come from another upcoming designer to just pick up what you're still trying to put out there, and then the word is frivolous. Cheapen it, sort of. And then some of these copies are not even as good as yours. For a growing industry, it's very detrimental to our growth, especially when it comes to exports and stuff like that. So it's really important that we actually have this, issues put to rest and some things put in place for us to be able to protect our work. And one of the things that I feel, because we don't know if we have laws here to protect us in that aspect, is probably to keep being creative and keep being innovative and keep growing your brand in such a way that when people see your products, people know that, oh, that's a Nicole by Haguanna bag. Oh, yeah, that's a my Atafo suit. Oh, you need to put your mark on your products. So far, that's the only solution I've seen so far that we have. So, I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to kind of give the same question to you, I wanted to ask why Nicole makes leather bags, you focus more on clothing. Why is it important? Because especially in a fast fashion world that we're in, where it seems like trends are what matters, things go in and out. Sometimes people get kind of, why is he making noise? Why is she making noise? If you're that good, go and design another thing, right? Why is it important for designers in particular, for society as a whole, to know that this style, this brand is this person's? Is it selfish to not want others to benefit from something you've created? Is that a misconception or?
I think that at the end of the day, we, to a large extent, do not see creativity as something that people should make a reward of. It almost feels like everyone is creative, because there's no entry point into anything creative, be it fashion, music. Anybody can be anything when it comes to something creative. We don't actually give credit to the creative industry, especially here in Nigeria. Now, for you to have come up with something that is unique, that no one has seen before, this day and age, that's a lot of work. It's not easy at all. Because you have this saying that says that everything has been done before. There's nothing new under the earth, right? Then you manage to actually come up with something that is unique as compared to what you already see out there. Then the next thing, people just start copying it. Now, when people start copying, that means that you're losing money. Because everybody that goes to the alternative should have come to you. Now they're not coming to you, you're losing money for what you have created. So if anyone could come up and perform Davido's song instead of Davido and do a concert, and people that attend the concert, then why would Davido make the kind of money he's making? That's exactly what it is. Now, on the flip side, that's why you should actually have your IPs. On the flip side, it's also on us. And when I mean us, I mean everybody seated here today. We are also the offenders because we are the ones that take the style and take it to somebody else and say, "So this style for me." At that point in time, you are the one committing the offense. So you may not know, but I can assure you that 90% of the time, it is the people that instigate that to happen, not the people that make it. It's those that want it. They go ahead and I cannot afford Atafo. Atafo is too expensive. Yes, because I put the work in it. That's why it's expensive. So, and it's not just about Nigeria, it happens around the world. So, I mean, if you're wearing one fake Gucci shoe or bag, you should feel the pinch because that's exactly what you're doing, And I've also realized that some people do not understand that it's exactly wrong to do it. Some people ignorantly just go to my page, see something, they make it. Then when they tag me, they think they've given me credit. Or they tell me it's inspired by me, but wasn't an inspiration. You literally copied the whole thing verbatim. And you tag me and say, "How did I do?" You should be arrested. That's how well you did. And I think that people don't know how grave it is until you apply it to other things in life. So Blood Sisters, the movie just came out. Imagine if someone did another movie called Blood Sisters and had the same plot twist and the same thing and shot it with iPhone. And people are actually paying to watch it. So you're making more able to lose money. So that's how painful it is. Being creative right now where we are in 2022 is the most difficult thing ever in life. So you should protect it as much as you can. But that's why I think it's important. I don't think it's about being selfish. I think it's about you safeguarding your hard work. Because as creatives that we are, the moment you cease to be creative, that's when you are broke. Because when people come and say there's nothing new from Nicole Haguanna, I've seen it all before, then they don't engage anymore. Then what are you going to do? Do you get what I mean? So that's why I think it's important, but it's on everybody. We that manufacture, you that consume, it's also on you. So every time you see that thing on social media, and I said this with Femi the other day, what I ordered versus what I got, it's not a joke, it's not funny, it's actually very annoying and painful. Because you only got what you got because you didn't go to the right place, period. There's no other reason. If you went to the right place, you would never do that post. And the blogs that put that thing on, I think at the end of the day, those are the biggest, for lack of a better word, idiots, because they are the one propagating this even more. I think that thing versus what I ordered versus what I got should not even exist. It's annoying and it's disrespectful to the people that actually created the first thing. And you are actually propagating this thing because sometimes they get it right and they say, "Oh, 8 over 10. I would not go to the original anymore. I will go to the other one. So this is, I know I'm making it look as deep, but it is that deep. So whenever I see that post and someone says what I ordered and what I got, and you that got it, you are complaining, I'm like, you deserve it. It should have been worse. To be honest, it should have been worse because you knew where they got it from. Yes, it's too expensive. If it's too expensive, then it's not at your level. I want a Porsche. I really want to stay in Banana Island at this point in time in my life. But I can't, so I respect myself, and I stay in the Boefon. It's not a bad place to stay, but that's where my pocket is, so I stay there. So that's pretty much so. There are many levels today, so we all have a role to play, to be honest.
Thank you so much. Please give him a round of applause. Give him a round of applause. Fantastic. Before I ask our big madam lawyer in the house what we need to do, I'm just going to ask for some audience participation. Who here runs a creative business or you have a creative venture? you guys shy or so yeah, I think one of the ways a lot of people kind of explain is whenever someone steals your work in general, even if you work in corporate and you share an idea between your colleagues and then you get into the big meeting and one of your colleagues just quickly says what you've shared and you're just like, oh, okay, so that's how we're doing it over here. Or, you have people who have taken credit for your work before. If you've ever been in secondary school and you were bullied and you had this person that was like, hey, bring your homework. And the teacher says, this guy is so intelligent. And you're like, really, is he? It's the same thing, but on a grander scale. You are propagating someone else's sweat. The way you wouldn't just go to the market and snatch something out of the store and be like, this is mine now, and I'm selling it for a cheaper price. You can't just go and propagate or copy someone else's work and make money off of it. It's not something that society, we kind of think of it as sharp. Not really like a crime. Like, this person is just sharp. They are quicker than you. They have a faster process than you do. Maybe you need to hone your process as opposed to them. That's what it is. Because sometimes people wonder what really is the big deal. But that is what it is. Okay. So, Uzoamaka, with you, ma. You are our hope during this panel. And I want to ask, first of all, what is the process for a creative to secure their work? So is it every single design that Mai or Aisha make, every single thing that they're going to come and be like, Nicole, this one is my own. How much am I going to patent it? This one is my own. Because that really does, the creative work is quite different, especially when you work in fashion specifically. What is the process? What do you need to do to secure your own work? If not, we're going to be stuck with just social media call-outs.
Thank you, thanks, and it's really nice to be here. All right, so in terms of intellectual property protection, you need to ensure that as a creative, it basically depends on, we're here at the Leather Fair, right? It depends on your industry. It also depends on the exact creative output you're putting forth. And then, we have various types of intellectual property. It's really not just the designs. You get to think about a number of other things as well. Fine, there's Nicole by Haguanna, there's Atafo, right? Those are very recognizable brand names, you need to think about registering or protecting those brand names as a trademark because, not all brands are trademarks, but all trademarks are brands. So you need to take, jump the hurdle of protection. And then in terms of, the creative output, your products, designs, and all that, you would need to have them registered. Okay, the thing here is this. We find that a lot of creatives, most times they're aware of the fact that there's an intellectual property system. I'm not going to lie that our system is perfect. It isn't. We can't compare ourselves with the likes of the US, UK, but of course they have their issues as well. But we are not there yet because we have a situation whereby we have archaic laws which do not really cater to the dynamics of these times, especially when we not talk about, creatives. Okay, so we need to, it's really a situation whereby you need to be intentional about protection in the first place. What have you done? Most creatives don't think it's relevant. Most creatives do not think, they're not even aware that they can do so. But most creatives also believe that for them it's like a reflex action. At the point where they feel that their business is at risk, then they're now, they're probably more like awakened to the fact that they even need to do this or take certain steps in the first place. And then, of course, some people would rather just be docile and not take certain steps to challenge infringement. So let me just backtrack a bit. Okay, now we've seen a lot of leatherworks here at the fair. And in terms of, you've seen beautiful, beautiful, distinctive, unique designs, belt designs, bags, and the likes made with leather. For every creative, once you know that you've strived and then you have been able to muster up, you have this distinctive, your products have become quite distinctive. You're now being known for your distinctive style, right? Then you need to go ahead to see how best you can protect your product. I'm going to take Nicole, for instance, her bags, right? register those bags. Most bags have very distinctive, okay, for the industrial design registrations, so to speak, right? They actually look and basically protect the look and feel of a product, the shape, the aesthetics value, its appearance, combination of patterns and lines and drawings and all that. You need to go ahead, take one big step of registering it at the Designs Registry in Nigeria. We have that in Abuja. Normally creatives really ask, okay, why don't we have like lasting protection for their designs? Well, it just so happens that in Nigeria, we have a situation whereby our Copyright Act do not cater for such creative output. Sometimes they may actually feel that it's possible, but actually isn't. Okay, now take, for example, a particular section of the Copyright Act talks about you enjoying protection for your artistic work. So definitely you know that every output of a creative would usually fall in there. But there's a limitation. The limitation lies in the fact that where that artistic creation, if the creative has done that as a model or pattern to be multiplied by some sort of industrial process or basically multiplied over time, right, then it loses that enjoyment, that whole protection under the Copyright Act. So you now fall back on the industrial designs registration, which gives you a limited time, just 15 years actually, to enjoy your protection. But I think that's still good enough, because within that time you're able to reap the benefits of your sweat. Now, what does the intellectual property system provide for you? Provides, the objective basically is to ensure that it gives, provides a conducive environment where creativity will flourish. Everyone wants to flourish, but then you have copycats out there who would want to, there's nothing wrong in having competition, okay, right? But when competition now goes overboard and you find people who are ready to emulate and basically steal your designs, sometimes they could go the whole of, for instance, of having, there's something we call social media impersonation. They could put up like a fake profile, and then it seems more like a clone, for instance, of maybe like Atafo's page, just with the intention of selling, fake designs, and all of that. But when you have that, and you are empowered, you're able to challenge, this infringers or whosoever is behind, you call them counterfeiters, because it's basically intellectual property theft. That's what it really is. So, I think first things first, you need to be aware that you even need it in the first place. Most people do not want it, even if they know. Most people believe that it's expensive, but the truth remains that if your strategy as a creative, or I make bags or belts, leather belts, for instance, and I have this tight strategy for my production and distribution of my goods, making money, then I should also be able to pin down a good enough strategy for intellectual property, protection and enforcement. Don't be docile. When you see that someone is doing something, go after them. Otherwise, they feel that, well, no one is coming, Yeah.
Thank you so very much. Well, our incredible moderator is now here as she comes up to continue the conversation. So Mr. Adesuwa is going to spend the next 20 minutes continuing the conversation, and then we'll have 15 minutes for Q&A. Please give her a warm round of applause. Thank you so very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much, sweetheart. Thank you, everybody, for the patience. Now, I believe that Femi said I should come and anchor this session, because we'd had this conversation about 2 or 3 years ago, and you were there, right? When we're talking about this copycatting thing. I don't know who has watched House of Gucci. Have you watched House of Gucci? There was an issue there about copycatting, and it was a good thing to be copied, right? Isn't it a good thing to be copied? So I would like to start. I know you've talked about registering and doing all of those things, right? If it is good to be copied, why do we need to care whether people copy us? You go.
So I think that in the context of the movie, which is from the real life adaptation of the Real House of Gucci, what he meant was that it was good to be copied because they were an Italian company. They are an Italian company, And at the point in time, they were breaking grounds in America and in other parts of the world where people couldn't access the brand, they were making copies of it. So what he was saying, Maurizio, was that it's good to be copied because he was saying that that shows us the strength of the brand. So what we need to do is get our brand there so that the people that really want us can access us. And when they have access to us, they will purchase. And if you actually, I do this, if you're a fashion person, any movie about fashion, please watch it. And don't just watch it because you want to get the thrill. Watch it as a fashion person. So House of Gucci, watch it. Go and watch the documentary of the making of the House of Gucci. Watch the real life story. It's very important, right? So what that did was, like, later on, when Maurizio, who's the son, took over the whole company, right? Sales were drastically dropping, right? And he kept telling them, give me some more time. Sales will pick up in Japan. And it was in Asia they were copying him the most. And he kept saying Japan is a market where they have the money and they will purchase the real thing. So give me some time and this will happen. But they didn't give him that time. They let him go as the CEO, right? 6 months later, after Tom Ford took over the M's of Affair, the sales from Japan could have saved him the job. So that's why he was not fussed about copying at the point in time. But even going back to it, till date, you say that Gucci is one of the brands that have been copied the most in the world.
And they're still alive.
And at the point in time, what they now did was start making a brand, or not a brand, they made a campaign or a new collection called Fake Gucci, and they were spelling Gucci wrong with the Y.
Oh.
So make it look like, okay, right, so we can do the same thing you're doing, but guess what? It's the original thing. Because your real customers want to buy original.
Fantastic.
They do not want to buy fake. So for Gucci customers who have the money and want to buy, they do not want to buy fake. So what he was saying there wasn't like it was good to be copied. He was just saying, it just shows us that, yes, we are this big, and because they were a family brand from Italy, not the whole world wanted them. So in terms of that return on investment, you will always be big, but not to say that the copying doesn't pinch them. It does pinch them. That's why they shut down Dapper Dan in America, because it was copying them.
The point you're making here is, for us in Nigeria, that's a lesson. But the question is, brands haven't even grown. People are already biting into that.
You have access to the person that created the original here, but instead, you go to Obalende and say, copy this. And your reason is, I cannot afford that one. But as a talker, I'm now soup went sweet.
Money 9 kilam. So Aisha, what do you think? What are your own copycatting stories? And how do you think how has that affected the brand? And how can some laws, because we have laws, but we don't even use them. So it's the people themselves that need to change that mindset. Share some of your copycatting stories and the lessons that we can learn from that, and why this particular conversation is important to you.
Okay, so for me, my copycatting stories, there are so many. But I'll tell you that even people...
Can you put the microphone closer to your mouth?
Yeah, even people that I knew, people that were close to me, that did the same thing that I did, would come admire my stuff. And then at one point or the other, when we started making leather stuff here, the early stages, we literally all use the same artisans to work. You outsource your stuff. Now, because you outsource your things, at some point, the person who is working for you might work for another person. And there was nothing restricting these artisans to do your own stuff for the next person. You would have your own friend who makes bags, take your picture off of your page, or even purchase a bag of yours, take it and say, you know what, now you did make bag for Aisha, why don't you do this for me?
But there'll be another name on it.
There will be another name on it. Now, the downside to it is, most times when I produce my stuff, I always finished them myself. So there were other things that I added to them. So by the time you now copy, clone, they say, oh, you inspired me. I didn't inspire you. You cloned my stuff. Inspiration is completely different from cloning. I started finding clients coming to me, oh, I purchased one of your bags and it has a problem. And for some reason, because I just started out, I knew all my clients. I knew every piece I'd sold. And I'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry. Could you send it to us? We'll fix it for you. And when the bag comes to me, I didn't make this bag. And I would call them and say, I didn't make this bag. Like, no, but this is your style. I said, yes, I do know, but I didn't make this piece.
So I think what I hear here is that every designer must have that little thing. For example, I mean, I go back to Gucci because the latest one I watched. In the movie, when somebody said, I got this bag, this pair of shoes, the business owner knew that those shoes were vintage because there was something that he saw. So I'm going to go to Uzoamaka to respond to this, right? As the lawyer, as the one that's there, know what the laws are and everything, who should we be talking to? The buyers, the copycats who are basically other people in your business, or who? To ensure that these laws are kept and there's no infringement, right? Because even if you have a copyright, people will still copy you.
I think everyone needs to know about it. I mean, when you say, I mean, I'm not sure that it's...
So who should be the high for Nigeria now, where we are building brands? Who should we be knocking on the head? Hey, you got to know this. You got to do this right.
Well, first of all, every government the world over has that responsibility to ensure that they create or establish that, conducive environment for businesses to be able to thrive. Okay, I mean, you have other nations, they have a national intellectual property policy. So, I mean, this has been started even into the consciousness of their citizens. These people, they know these things. I can't say the same for here. First of all, we don't have a national intellectual property policy.
Who should be pushing for it? Should we be pushing for it?
Yes, stakeholders. And who are the stakeholders? Myself, an IP practitioner, lawyer, creatives, the public, regulators. Everyone should say something about it. So we all should push, because sometimes, most times when you make a lot of noise, maybe the government will hear, right? And I know that in recent times, I've been part of certain stakeholder engagement, pushing out for this sort of things. We need to create more awareness. People need to come to the realization that yes, because some people in Nigeria have the low purchasing power, doesn't mean that we should just pave the way for counterfeits. No. We shouldn't do that. We should be able to actually tell infraction of course, from the right things to do. We need to do things and do them well.
Mai, do you think we're going to soon have this copyright law that people will respond to? And before we do that, what should we actually be doing as individuals to ensure that? Because you say, and we say we are poor in this country, yet they say champagne sells most in Nigeria.
First of all, I think that designers, if you have actually created anything that is seemingly unique, you should try to protect it, okay, with the law. Because that's number one. Number one is you do that. So if someone copies it, you can just send a message and say, send this and this. That's what they call it, and say, I have this, you shouldn't do this again. And if you do, then I will come for you. That, first of all, just puts you on a different level from the person that's copying. But that's one.
Is there a patent that protects your product?
Yes.
So they must apply for a patent?
Yes.
How long does that take, typically? No, I didn't want to ask. I wanted to ask her, Jose, how long does it take? I mean, because that's the truth. Two things. You have to be sure you have an original. Do you know what I mean? What's the original? And then go and patent it over a period of... Does it cost money?
Of course it costs money. So that's actually one deterrent. I mean, that's actually something, because I know that a number of people have... what we find really is that sometimes most people see it as being an expensive venture, but it's really not, because we find that a lot of IP practitioners, my firm for one, we hold certain legal clinics where we're able to provide startup packages to people just starting up, So even if you're saying, this is really expensive, we're able to help out and package something just right for you.
So find them.
Because you're spending money on producing. Spend money in trying to obtain, after creation, obtain, protect, and use.
Is Atafo
and enforce.
Copyright? Is Atafo patented?
No, Atafo is trademarked.
Is it Maya?
It's trademarked.
Atafo is trademarked. Maya Atafo,
which is now me. Which is now me as the individual. I also have a copyright on the use of the name as an individual, as a business.
Okay, so that's the thing. So what's
But that doesn't cover my products.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't cover my product. It just means that someone can just wake up tomorrow and say they're Atafo or they're my Atafo. But that doesn't cover the products that I come up with. And it's not every single product. So I'm wearing a white kaftan now. There's no sense in, or a beaded hat. This has probably passed the 15 years from whoever created it to have a right to it. But there are things. So recently I did something for Ebuka for Big Brother, which I call the traditional suit. And on the bip of it is fully beaded with a beaded hat to match. Right? It never existed in the landscape of Nigerian fashion.
Did you?
It never did.
Patent it?
No, I didn't. And what happened, it was literally the next Saturday, someone had already done it.
Oh, wow.
Right? And, you know, what they'll do is that they'll copy myself and Ebuka and go like, how did we do? And I get that a lot when it comes to Ebuka and Big Brother shows, because obviously we have millions of people watching the show, so the access for them wanting to do it is very high. Now, the interesting thing is, what I've now learned to do is I put in a lot of work for those kind of things that I want to put on Ebuka for Big Brother. If you copy it, if you have to do it 6 times, you will stop. Because the amount of work and money.
Because there's something inside.
Because if your market level is at selling it at 100,000 naira, you're spending 80,000 naira doing the bid work. At the point that it makes sense that you're making a loss, so you stop. Right? So, I mean, this wasn't, I wouldn't say it was mine when I started putting Swarovski crystals on jackets. But I started by doing dazzle Swarovski crystals on jackets, and literally people started copying it. Then I moved to start using black crystals on jacket, which is 4 times more expensive, and they can't even fake the black one. They can fake the dazzle one, but the black one is not. So all of a sudden, that stopped. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So for me, there's a way I try to manage it. But when it's something you can actually make quite affordable for everybody, and it's still uniquely different, then it's almost like you have to behave like, you know, what Disney, who used to sell this comic, give his comics out for free. And says from where that came from, I have 1 million more.
Okay, I get it. So what you're talking about is you can still be unique regardless. And that's the question, because I mean, a bag is a bag is a bag. I mean, you know, but when you put LV on it, it becomes something else. When you put the other side, it becomes something else. What does that mean to people like you who are newer brands? And how do you protect your brand to be different? Because a bag is a receptacle, but there's more.
Okay, so for starters, I'm not a new brand.
Well, when I'm talking about you, I'm talking about you as against Gucci or LV.
Okay.
Or are you not at that level?
Not yet. We're getting there. So for me, I've always been very creative. So I always do something different. My bags, when you see it, you know it. Once you see a piece of my work, you can tell this is a Nicole by Haguanna. And I feel that at this point, without the laws protecting us, we need to be a little bit more creative with the things that we do. If you see a Femi handbag, you know it's a Femi handbag. If you see a Jids bag, you know it's a Jids bag because she's beaded. She has all these beaded turtles on it. When you see my bag, you know because I've bastardized weaving in all kinds of fabric. So once you know, you know. So I think for now, until we get to that point where we have an IP that can protect our brands, you need to be creative. Make it your own. Stop cloning people's work. You know, I can't do right now. Before you could copy my work. Now they get to a certain part and then they can't copy anymore.
Like I might say, make it difficult for them to copy you.
It's kind of difficult to finish up. But you'll find that one person that is ready to follow you into your grave with that design.
That's copycats.
Oh my goodness. They will finish you, clone it. I haven't seen that person yet on a lot of my stuff, but I know they are there.
Well, so I mean, I think that will bring me to my final area of conversation. I would like to say, is it an essential investment that designers must make to ensure that they have to ensure that they have some kind of protection from their work? And if so, why should we care? We that we're carrying the property, whatever it is that we're taking, why should we care? I'll start with you. We all comment on that, starting with our lawyer.
All right. Oh, so I mean, it is. Registration is key. Okay, you also find anyway that even when you do not register some of your intellectual property. Based on the fact that it's become, you've garnered some sort of goodwill and reputation over time and recognition, you can actually challenge, infringers. But like I said earlier in my very first, when Jola asked, most creatives would really not, they also don't care. They don't go ahead to challenge, the infringers, and then they remain docile. And what happens? Infringement continues now.
And tell them why is it bad? Infringement costs you money, or you lose money, or what?
Oh yes, definitely. With time, that's the business. That's the risk. You get to lose your competitive advantage. No profits. Your brand recognition basically diminishes. You don't want your brand to be weakened. I also give an example of social media impersonators. We have had a lot of them. So we present Austrian lace producers, and so some of the infractions have really been that people put up clone profiles on IG websites and all of that. Yes, they do that, and if where they keep quiet about it, nothing is done. It almost seems as if, well, they're not saying anything. I can continue and keep passing off my lace as though it was theirs or it is theirs. So you need to take certain steps. Even if you do not have, now most of our designers feel that, the truth is this, they make designs on a daily, they're creative, and there's really no stop or shutting down this creativity. Every day they're coming up with one thing or the other. Like my lace clients will tell you, there's so many designs. Do we get to register all of them as industrial designs? Exactly. So most times what they do is like, okay, fine, for some of them that have certain distinctive elements, they like go ahead and do same. For others that do not, okay, we're currently representing a client who, they never registered their design, but we sort of have a good case. Right, so we've been able to, cause first of all those fake profiles to be taken down by IG, Instagram. And one thing about some of the social media platforms, they do not want to hear about intellectual property theft. They don't like it. They don't, so once you report, they will
run away.
Once you report, they take it down immediately. Yes, they do their investigation, and then once you're able to provide evidence of your proprietary interest and ownership and all that, they take it down without, fine, they still do a bit of investigation, but what they usually do is, let's take it down first, pending when investigations are concluded.
So Mai, what's your take? Who should care? Should we care about it? Because some designers are young. At what point should I be thinking I must ensure that ensure my product is not copied, and also which product do you choose? You make so many things, for example. So what are you going to put intellectual property on?
If you're a designer, the ones you want to. The ones you have created that seem, like I said, this is 2022. For you to come up with something that is uniquely different this day and age, and people can actually allude to the fact that it is different from what they have seen before, that's the one you should go for. So I won't do it on my kaftan or my black suit. That's unnecessary. So I'll do it on something. So like the traditional way I spoke about, I could do it on something like that. Now, on the flip side, and I said this earlier on, is that for us that are sitting down here, onus is also on us to make sure that we do not do it. We do not take the thing to the Abba tailor and say, make from me, because invariably you are actually stealing from me. And I use an example that you don't see it as a big deal when it comes to designs and stuff. But the moment somebody takes your name on Instagram and adds underscore to it, then takes all your pictures and put on that feed and say they are you, it starts to hurt you. But that's exactly what you're doing. There's no difference. That's exactly what you're doing to the fashion designer. But someone takes 5 of your pictures, put it there, and starts to tell people they're you are getting angry. But you just did it to a fashion designer by taking the same fabric to someone and say, copy this style. That's one of the reasons why I do not do Ashoebi. So you do not control the narrative of what I make from you, from what you see out there. I just said, no, I'm not doing this thing anymore, so don't bring it to me. Do not. So that's it. So we all have to care. And as designers, I always say the bigger thing is probably not here. Now, listen clearly why I say this. Africa is the hottest spot for creativity right now globally. It will shock you that they are all using microscopes to look into Africa and seeing what they can get. Because these guys out there, they are done with creativity. There's nothing new. But there's a lot new here, right? Now, God bless you if they copy you and you have protection.
Wow.
You are smiling to the bank. And I can give you example of 2 Africans that have cleaned out from that. Somebody cleaned out from Zara. Zara copied his print. A South African designer called, his name skips me right now.
Yeah.
They copied his print. And when they went, they said, no, it was just print. No, but his print, the number of times he repeated a certain color had to do with where he was from. Wow. The number of times he repeated another color had to do with his grandmother. So it wasn't just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It had a meaning. John said there was a story to it, and he copied it, and they used it for socks and stuff. And he just sued Zara, and he was settled in pounds. So dude was quiet. Another designer from Senegal, they have this longer loaf of bread that the people on the street, I'm very sure you know this story, eat. Actually, you use that concept to make a purse. And Dior copied it. And she said that the copyright for that one, apparently it's even cheaper and easier to do it overseas. It costs like $150. Wow. And it's faster. So she did it international before she did the one in Senegal, and Dior copied, and it was a very lovely case for her at the end of the day. So by God's grace, that should be your case.
Amen. I didn't hear amen. No.
So that's what you should protect against, to be honest, at the end of the day. But all being said, I still think that people do not appreciate what creatives do. Because everybody's brother and sister is a creative. There is no permission to become a fashion designer. I can't wake up one day and become a lawyer. Yeah. Nobody will give me a case. I can't just wake up and say, nah, I'm a lawyer. Bring your case to me. Do you get what I mean? And if people catch me doing that, I'll be arrested. But when I'm a fashion designer, I can wake up and say, nah, I'm a fashion designer. Hello. Celebrities will queue up and ask you to make clothes for them. So there's no permission to be a fashion designer. And that's what it is to be a creative in this industry. There's no permission. You wake up in the morning and you are that thing. Mm-hmm. So as long as it's like that, it's as porous as that, anyone can do anything.
Well, I'd like to just point out here, no matter how porous it is, you can still be unique. After all, anybody can wake up and be a musician, but not everybody can be Burna Boy, Abi. So, I mean, the same way. So I wonder what your take is. You know, you might have a loaf of bread. Maybe you're going to get your own design someday. I don't know whether it's going to be Guguru and Ekpa. That I know that I don't think anybody else eats Guguru and Ekpa in this world, apart from Nigerians. Guguru and Ekpa. That combination, I've given an idea. If anybody uses Guguru and Ekpa, please. Go ahead, Aisha.
Let me just say this. As a designer, I would like to say something. I think at this point, if you're in the leather industry and you want to grow, have your own styles. Like Mai said, there's nothing we've never seen before in this life. However, making it your own is very important. And one thing I've noticed, what goes around comes around. The people that have copied me today have been copied, and they make so much noise about it. And I look at them, I'm like, are you serious? Are you actually really talking? You know, but you see, so you're starting out, you don't want to start. And one more thing I might add is, leather fair now is becoming so strict. If you're known as a copycat, you will never be able to display in leather fair. Because the minute they catch you, this is what we do now. They will bring the person you copied, they will bring your picture, they will send it to the curator of this is that. See, this person copied my bag. So you might not hear anything. So we're putting things in place for that now. So I would advise, as a startup designer, make it your own. Put your stamp on it. Let people know you for something. Don't just because the market there's Yakonde markets there, and you can get pictures. You just take somebody's picture and say, make this one for me. Because trust me, they are making it for you is not the same as the person who made it the first time. It's never the same.
So what's the first thing everybody should be doing? You have a product, you have a design, you want to be big. The first thing is register your product. Yeah. Correct?
Yes.
Can we just say 1, 2, 3? One thing, do this, 2, do this, and 3.
Okay,
do
so
this.
I think
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that it should actually be like, okay, what I call it is intellectual property commercialization, maybe like the process. So of course you've identified what your IP is, right? Whether it's whatever your output is determines whether you need to register a trademark. Copyrights are automatic, really, but I mean, our laws are not there yet, but we're getting there. A law will soon be passed, hopefully, fingers crossed. Then patentable, inventions, or whatever it is. Because I mean, sometimes you can go ahead and patent a leather shoe that has maybe some sort of innovative concept for the sole. That can be patented. I'm not, just think of it. Think about it.
It's a shoe, but it's different.
But it's
I mean,
different.
It's
So I mean, once you know what the output is, you've identified what you need to, what is my IP unique here for your brand. I mean, everybody has a name. You need a name for your business, right? So you need to register your brand. You need to ensure that you gain recognition and it differentiates you from other people. I mean, Nicole by Haguanna is different from me Atafo, different from the other names I've seen, and all that. So yes, IP creation. And then after that, jump the next hurdle, IP protection. So if it's a trademark, your brand, like I said earlier, all trademarks are brands, but not all brands are trademarks. So you need
trademarks are brands. But not all brands are trademarks.
Yes, a trademark is a registered brand. A brand is a brand name, your logo, your sign.
I mean,
yeah. So I mean, so you okay? I talked about IP creation, IP protection. So protect, and when you protect, monitor, police your brand, police your product, ensure that you monitor its use. And when you come across any infraction or potential infringement, speak out. Do something about it. Enforce. Then of course, IP utilization. Use it. Put in the market for people. People get to buy your product. You get to make money from it. IP is all about striking the balance between the interest of the IP of the creatives as well as the interest of we the public.
Okay, final words from my final words from and because I remember first all these IP. I remember telling Femi by handbags, your bags are too expensive. Joy say, they are Femi bags, and Nasabi. If you don't like it, but you can tell when you see it. Like if you see an Atafo, there's something about it, eh? Nicole, I know the other. Your own is the threading, right? You can tell the difference. So, is it your responsibility to be telling your audience what's special about you? Everybody who buys the product, this is me, over time? Because she was saying that when you have a brand, ensure that people know what it is. So for these younger ones, what are you telling them as your final words, both of you?
I think that Nicole actually said it, that if you're coming into an industry, because like we did say, it's porous, for you to stand out, you have to have a unique product. So you cannot build a career by copying your mentor, because you're going to wait for your mentor to make the left turn before you make a left turn. So when I started, my brand name was My Atafo Inspired. And the only reason it was My Atafo Inspired was because it was MAI, which came back to My, which was my name. But now I've moved on from there. The brand name is Atafo. Some people have inspired in front of their fashion names till today. That means nothing to them because they just copied what I did. And I realized 5 years later that what I did made absolute no sense. It was 5 years later when I went to Milan to school. I was speaking to someone and he said, he looked at my clothes, he was really impressed. It was Italian. He was saying, beautiful, beautiful. So what is the name of your brand? And I said, My Atafo Inspired. I said, what does it mean? I said, it's my name. So I can call you Mr. Inspired. I said, no, I'm Mr. Atafo. Then he said, so what is inspired? And I was like, can we have drinks later? Because, at the moment you stood and just felt like, that was stupid. Do you get what I mean? And in life, you outgrow things, right? That's why it's key that when you start, you don't just start by saying this couture, that. Because as you move on, after a while, you realize that you have evolved. Then all of a sudden, it's hard to change that thing. So I even changed again from My Atafo to Atafo. That was a personal reason, because at the end of the day, people were tagging me as my clothes. And that's wrong. And I want to get to a point whereby you do not have to see me to enjoy Atafo.
You're getting there, bro.
So I'm not the bridge. So you go and like right now, what am I wearing? My shoes are Atafo. That's not me. They are my shoes. So tomorrow I'm wearing Atafo. Atafo is really great shoes, really great suit, really great wedding dresses. And I'm somewhere in my village eating cola. Do you understand? So you don't have to see me. So that's it. So I always tell people at the end of the day, try to come up with something unique, really unique. If you can't come up with something unique in a creative space, try to balance every other thing. Maybe you should be the best, the greatest customer service brand that makes shoes. Right? That when they call you, you answer back, good morning, how you doing? What do you want to buy? But your shoes are the same thing as every other person's shoes, but your customer service will stand you apart. So if they call you at 2 a.m., is it late? No, we are awake. Hello. That may be your selling point. I tell you, in Nigeria, it's very easy. If you that's why, sorry, I'm taking a bit long. Overseas, where you have KFC, or where you have, what do you have that thing? McDonald's. The next place you have Burger King. McDonald's, Burger King. McDonald's, Burger King. So if I go in here and they're annoying me, your decision, this thing is very short. You walk to the next one. And that's why they do it overseas. But Nigeria, if you have and I have next to you, it's me that followed you from your village. Do you get what I mean? So you may not all match somebody in terms of goods, out them in terms of services, out them in terms of branding. You understand? There was a brand in Nigeria that did something called, in the future, cars will drive with water. We, in this bank, we're already thinking about it. The bank is dead now. But that campaign was the strongest campaign. But when you go into the banking hall, you saw rats running around.
Absolutely.
So it didn't go down. So it's like, there are ways you can beat competitors. It doesn't only have to be in the product itself. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Aisha, you're going last. NBH, was that to save us the mouthful of Nicole by Haguanna?
No. For me, I'll just leave this here. Be intentional. Be intentional in everything you do. With everything you design, let there be something that sets you apart from the next person. It might be the way you place your logo. It might be the way you... Because I do a lot of things. I have so many secrets to my stuff.
So are you going to teach us how to find those things? When they come to your stand, they will learn?
They will see it. They will see it. Because every time there's always something new. Anybody who is a designer knows that. So be intentional. Set yourself apart, especially if you're just coming into the industry. Let people see you and say, oh my God, who is that? I know 2 brands already that they're exhibiting for the first time. And people are like, oh my God, who is that? That means they're doing something right. So that would be where I'll leave my advice. Stop cloning.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, Mai. Thank you, Uzoamaka. Thank you, everyone, for listening. But remember, soup way sweet. Na money killer.
Adesuwa, they meant to ask questions.
Oh,
if they do have questions.
Thank you. Questions? Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, the panelists. The session was awesome. Okay, my question is, how can we be sure, be really sure that our design is different? So if I am a creative and I'm just bringing out something new and I'm putting out my design, do I do a Google search to be sure, okay, this thing is not out there, so I can put it out now? Or how can I be sure? That's my first question. And the other question is, what should our responses be to clients that want creatives to do other people's product, to make other people's product? Thank you.
Can I answer that real quick? I would love to answer.
Okay, go. I mean, you both can go take a go at it. Each different perspective, just quick.
Okay, so I will answer your second question. You can answer the first one. The second question...
You can answer both, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
If a client comes to you, and because a Femi handbag is expensive, and says, oh, make me this bag, respectfully tell them, I'm sorry, ma, or I'm sorry, sir, I've had to answer people like this all the time. I don't do this. People have brought Gucci bags to me to make. Can't you make this your skin for me, Chanel? I'm like, I'm so sorry, ma, I cannot. However, if you trust me to make you something, I will make you something that stands out from this Chanel bag you're carrying. You need to be confident in your craft. You need to be.
So I don't know what
it also gives you integrity. I do not copy people's stuff, and that's what you're saying.
So I think that might be a little different with outfit. I like a my dress. I take it to my tailor to copy.
That's what I'm saying, but it's the same thing. Exactly, it's literally the same thing. Because for you to actually take the paint and want to take it to your tailor, it means there's something unique about that thing that you haven't seen before. And you have seen here, so you want to take it there to go and trade, which is wrong. And your first question is for you to see that it's different, right? Put it in Google, that's a good way. But it's something I've realized with a lot of young designers. It happened to me when I was growing. You're always stuck in your own tunnel. You don't look around you.
Go to fairs.
Do you understand? You don't look around you. If I ask people, what is this brand? What's unique about that brand? Why do you like that brand? You do not know. Who's the creative director of this brand? You do not know because you are not into fashion. You have to be into it. You have to know what is what and how. Talk about a football fan, how he talks about football, their last coach, their new trading market, opening market, who's coming into this club, the last match they played, where they played it. They know. That's how you should know about your industry. That's how you know if something you have made, right, is unique. Because you know the area you are playing in. So you should know. Google is a good thing to put, you can do images, put image search and it brings out things, right? But at the end of the day, you should kind of already know because you are constantly researching about what's going on.
Sir, do you want to comment on that, Uzoamaka?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, just for the first question, because I think they've done justice to the second, ensure you do your due diligence, really. Market research. You need, because there have been situations whereby I know a producer who started off like a year, 2 years down the line, manufacturing a product. He did not register his brand name and all that. And then it just seemed simultaneously someone else put out a product that was almost similar and a name that was almost identical. So I really don't know what happened to him because it was almost as if he didn't really acquire that much goodwill. He lost his trademark. He lost his brand. In fact, he was one paying compensation. Wow. Yes. Wow. So do your due diligence, do your search, ensure that whatever it is you're coming out with does not replicate or it is not confusingly similar for brand names now to another existing name. In terms of designs, image searches, do your due diligence, do your market research, and you'll be safe.
Except that's your intention.
And it has to be constant, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can be fashion nova and fashion mover.
Please educate us.
Oh, if you're intentional about it, you want people to actually mistake you for them, and you just change one letter, then so Kim is in hot water now for skin because somebody already had skin with the double KN.
Wow.
Next question, sir.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the organizers of this program. It's quite enlightening. And I also would want that this kind of thing goes around the country. The essence is to educate people so that they get to understand what stealing or copycatting of product is. Because you are stealing someone else's creativity. Okay? And I said it should be louder than this. For example, in UK, they have what we call the Ministry of Creative Industry.
I believe you have a question.
No, I'm just making an advice.
Okay.
So,
so you don't have a question?
No, yes. My suggestion is that something like this should take it louder so that the government gets to be part of it.
So it's a comment.
Yeah, it's a comment. Actually.
I appreciate it.
So we can have creative industry and protect people's creativity.
Thank you very much. Are you a designer?
Yes, I am. I'm an enthusiast as well, so.
You are an
enthusiast.
Enthusiast.
Yes.
Thank you very much. So can we take another question since that wasn't a question?
From a guy.
A guy, I'm sorry. Yes, a guy in the fila. That's not an Atafo fila.
It's not. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for this session, and thank you so much for this session. It's been wonderful. Yeah. So I just want to ask 2 questions real quick. In a scenario whereby a brand puts out a collection or someone influential wears a brand, for example, when Ebuka wore the signature Agbada, the Ugah one that went viral. Sometimes some people may not be able to reach the designer. Myself, I did a lot of I had to look well before I could even find the designer.
Who's the designer?
Ugah. If am I right? I'm right. Okay. Yeah. In cases like that, how can a platform, or I don't know, like how can, aside from giving credit on maybe social media handles, how can the designer, get access to so much people in so much quick time? Because, it's time sensitive, Then the second question is, for designs that have lost its roots, how do you differentiate those from those who still have theirs? Because, for example, one may say a design, because as a leather crafter that I am, I see some shoe design, but I can't really place, where did this come from, and it's very difficult. And you'll be shocked that, it was probably someone somewhere who designed it and created it, but, no credit yet.
So for the one with Ebuka and Ugomoye, it was probably a marketing strategy that he didn't plan for that superseded his expectations. Do you understand? He couldn't handle whatever was coming from him from that impact. It was huge. I think that's one of the biggest impact in terms of product placement that turned into revenue for a human being, right? So he couldn't handle it. So if you tried to reach him and you couldn't reach him, then he couldn't respond to you. And that's what I was saying about customer service. If you're a better customer service brand, you'll probably leverage on that. But he couldn't. Doesn't still mean that he should be copied. I know that he sued the guys from coming to America too because they copied the same thing, right? So the Nigerian brands probably just being lenient to them, thinking, I can't get money off these ones, But services and desist if he did. I don't know if he did to any of those brands. But I don't think it was more than, because Ebuka paid for the Agbada and just tagged him. So he didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
Do you understand? Someone serves you a cease and desist, you stop. So it's not, I won't sue you. The first thing is not to sue you and give me money when you copy my stuff. It's tell you to stop. It's when you refuse to stop that we can now go that, we want to do something about it. So the first thing is say, stop. So someone tells you, stop doing that because it's mine, right? And they show you proof why it's that, you just hands up. I did that to a colleague recently. He copied that same Ebuka, and he's a big fashion designer, menswear fashion designer. And he's actually someone that I respect. And I sent him a mail. I said, dude, you shouldn't be doing this, man.
So
do you understand? At this level...
would it be okay if you were given credit?
No.
So that's not the issue. So you don't want credit.
I don't want credit. I want credit. Credit alert. So for each time you're making for somebody, give me money.
Oh,
then
that's
make it for the person.
That's the way it works.
If you can afford to give me the money I said it for, I'll make over that way. Oh, God bless you. I'm making it for 400K. You want to sell it for 700K? I will make it for you. Yeah. Don't even make it. I'll make it for you. Then you go and sell and make your margin on top of it. So giving credit is not appreciation. Telling me I'm your inspirator is not appreciation. Just don't copy it. That's what it is. So tagging me, which I get a lot of tags, and sometimes I have to tell this. Okay, time is up.
No, tell the story. But tell the story. We're rounding up.
Somebody copied my stuff, and I didn't call him out. I just put it up there and said, look, you're copying this stuff. But now the idea here, when you copy, don't copy it, copy the principle. I used the wrong zipper. My zipper was white on the garment, and because I did it rush, this guy copied the white zipper. Just I said, this is what happens when you just copy. You don't apply your sense anymore. Then somebody else who had copied my stuff before came up and said, and he didn't even do a good job, but this is really bad. I said, but dude, you have copied me before. Why are you talking about someone? He said, no, I didn't. And I went there and I showed it to him. He said, oh, but I gave you credit. And I said, you are still wrong. But he said, explain to me. And I did. So he was ignorant. So I did. And I said, this is what you're doing. I'm selling this thing for 120K. You are selling it for 40K. Yours is a bad imitation of what it is, but people will still come to you, right? And some of them may have the money to come to me. So even with me right now, when people can give me a picture, I want something like this, I'll say, investigate, go and meet this person. That's their handle. They made it, not me.
Thank you very much to my panelists. Thank you to all of you. What I will say is, let us just take a bow, Sha.